Hello and welcome to the Learn How to See Better podcast, the only podcast out there known to actually improve your vision the longer you listen. This is your host, Drew Davis, and I'm glad you've joined me here today. I can't wait to share some great information with you about how to improve your health, wealth, and relationships. So let's get right down to it, shall we? Hey, what's up? This is Drew Davis, and I'm glad you joined me today because today I'm going to be talking about something that I think is a pretty important topic, and it has to do with learning how to see better. And this time it's a little bit different. It's learning how to see yourself better. It's learning how to see yourself through kind eyes, more specifically. And the reason I think that this is important because many of us have heard that self-talk is so critical to our success and failure in life, the way that we speak to ourselves, the two magic words, I am. Anything that comes after that phrase begins to define and, in some cases, confine us to limitations. If your I am is powerful and uplifting and encouraging, it will advance and propel you forward through life. If your I ams are diminishing and defeating, then you can begin to manifest those shortcomings in your life. So when I say see yourself through kind eyes, why this is important is what I found in my journey of an entrepreneur and a person that I would probably categorize as fairly ambitious. It's easy to get into the series of goal setting, and we really want to be in the mode of goal achieving. But when you're setting goals, if you're setting your goals the right way, your goals should stretch you. In a perfect world, your goals are going to be something that you are not in a position to be able to achieve currently. You have to grow to be able to reach that goal. And growth and comfort do not coexist. So it is essential to experience some discomfort. And that discomfort is usually going to come from doing things differently. And when you're doing things differently, you probably don't feel like you're doing them right. You might not be doing them fluently. You might not be good at a set of actions. You might be pretty lousy at a set of actions. And sometimes they say you got to be bad before you can be good. But as you go through this process, you really need to be patient with yourself. I myself have consistently struggled with being impatient with success. Right? You can't get rid of January just by tearing it off the map. So I've heard him say. So you have to be consistently patient with the progress and the pace of Mother Nature. Because if you don't, what you'll try to do is manufacture results artificially. There's the other saying that, you can't have a baby any faster. You can't just get 9 women together and have a baby in a month. It doesn't work that way. So when we have to learn to see ourselves through kind eyes, it's understanding that as we embark out on a new journey, as we embark out on a quest to accomplish something and step into our greater self, it is so essential that we have to, with the decision to make that journey, accept that it will bring with us challenges along the way by design. That is part of that growth, to push past the known and into the unknown so we can find out the new level of known as we grow and triumph and look to accomplish new things. So that's one of the things I wanted to point out, because it sounds good and it's a lot easier said than done, but see yourself through kind eyes. This has to do with any time you find yourself struggling or you're beating your head against the wall, instead of saying I am blankety blank or I am blank and having some sort of negative thing that starts to make you feel as though you're not good enough or you're not able to learn a new skill or develop a new habit more quickly. It's essential to recognize what you are doing towards what the steps you are taking towards that goal, the consistency that you have had, and the accomplishments that you are making. Because when you take record of what you are doing, it's a lot easier to make sure that you're taking that base foundation and building upon it, instead of just looking at it at a finish line and tearing yourself down and say, oh, I'm not at the top of the mountain yet. Oh, I'm just, not doing well. No, you want to say, hey, I'm 1,000 feet up the mountain. I'm 2,000 feet of the way. I'm 2/3 of the way. I'm 80% of the way. So when you see yourself through kind eyes, it's really a philosophy, is saying I'm going to focus on accomplishment and focus on the abundance of what I do have, what I have accomplished, as opposed to saying, oh, what are my shortcomings? Where did I fall short? What did I do wrong? Right? And that can go into anything that you're working on. It could be, it could be fitness, right? It could be academics. It could be finances. It could be relationships. So many different areas where if you see yourself through kind eyes, it gives you an ability to just take a moment to recognize and appreciate the work that you have put in. Because especially if you've got one of these goals that are a little bit more time driven, it's going to take some time, weeks, months even, to be able to actualize. It is even more critical to understand that process is really going to take a little bit of time, and it needs to take shape. I haven't met too many people that can just, hop down and do 100 push-ups and all of a sudden have, physique like a Greek god. And it usually doesn't come in a couple of weeks either. It takes time and chiseling and hammering away at that stone before it starts to look more statuesque. And so when you see yourself through kind eyes, it's allowing for the natural pace of progress to take hold. And that's where you can really leverage the compound effect. If you just keep after it, keep swinging that hammer, you're going to be able to knock that nail further into the wood. So that was a little tip I wanted to share today as we enter the second quarter of the year. It's the beginning of April 2019. And you know what? 90 days ago, everyone was raring to go about their 2019, how it was going to be their best year ever. But based on human nature, people start to fall off a little bit. Maybe they can't keep up with it, or just life gets in the way, and they want to beat themselves up because they didn't, hit some goal that they had for 60 days into the year, 90 days, 100 days into the year. But what might not be as easily recognized to say, okay, you didn't, you didn't achieve some major milestone, but you did make progress against that milestone. And if you were to actually analyze the results, you would see that momentum has been building near term. So to unplug and to just scrap the whole project because you're short of the objective is foolish. If you were to really look at it facts for facts as what it is, you would see that the momentum's building, you have had some progress, and you're probably on pace to even exceed where you would have been projecting halfway through the year if you just gave yourself a little bit more runway to be able to achieve that feat. So it's something to look at. If you are the type that's known to push yourself, that's great. Just be sure to also acknowledge and celebrate your wins, like we were saying a couple of episodes back. So I wanted to infuse everyone with that positive thinking. See yourself through kind eyes. It's another way you can learn how to see better, because when you take a moment to see yourself through kind eyes, you're giving yourself a chance to accept where you are and accept that you're going through a process of growth that will inherently have challenges built in. But when you see yourself through kind eyes, you understand and recognize that if you're tracking and documenting your journey, you have evidence, you have proof that states the contrary. You're not in a failing position. You're actually in a succeeding position that is advancing. So just something to keep in mind, and look at how you frame those facts. And I'll be talking more about how we frame our facts in a future episode, because that's something I want to drill into as well, because it really does get into how we perceive the present. It's how we're seeing not just ourselves through kind eyes, but how we're seeing facts in general that present themselves, and whether we view those as negative or positive will really have play a significant role in your outcome and in your activity. So with that, I wanted to wrap this one up. See yourself through kind eyes. Keep pushing. Understand that you might scrape your knees and elbows up, but that's all right. It's just a part of the climb, part of the dream. And keep building that momentum, keep getting after it, and look forward to talking to everybody again soon. Thanks. Well, all right. That was some great content, wasn't it? Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad you liked it. This is your host, Drew Davis, and I want to thank you for listening to the Learn How to See Better podcast today. And don't forget to subscribe and tune in for future episodes, and be sure to share with a friend if you are enjoying this content. Thanks, and see you next time.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.